Buddhadhamma, November 28, 2025. Part B, Chapter 6, 6.9, Points of Controversy. Page 620. What happens after Arahant's death, or the death of Arahant? An inevitable question that arises in the discussion of Nipita is, what happens to an Arahant after death? Or does a person who has realized Nipita exist after death or not? In truth, this question is centered around self-view. The devotion to Atta, the self, is acting as a catalyst in posing the question. This attachment to Atta, the self, or to label of self, Atta vad upatana. Translation is a doctrine of self, is firmly embedded in the hearts of the unenlightened, supported by the thirst, the longing, the grasping, or the desire for being, bhava tanha, and based on ignorance, avijja. Gautama Buddha did not encourage debating this question if one has not eliminated avijja, ignorance, and tanha, craving. He encouraged knowledge through application rather than conjecture. No matter how one responds to these inquiries, the latent root attachment to self will inevitably lead to a biased understanding. The questioners will incline towards a wrong view of Nipita as either an enduring self or an eradication of self. It is easy for an annihilist to view Nipita as extinction, because Buddhism emphasizes disentanglement from this widespread belief in eternalism. It's good to note that Buddha's remark to this that despite an annihilationism, vibhava ditti being wrong view, it is closer to Buddhism than any other views. As for eternalists, when their idea of self is invalidated, they search for a substitute to compensate for the sense of void or to restore the idea of a stable self. When they encounter a teaching that advocates uprooting the fixed belief in the self, it can seem to them that the self vanishes. They may then realize Nipita as a haven for the self, or an adequate Nipita as eternal life, or the promised land, or the proclaimed promised land. Many esteem in a wise individual who are freed from almost all forms of attachment get caught up in these views. The escape from this net leads to complete liberation, vimutti, or you could say moksha. The Buddhist teachings admit that such freedom is extremely difficult to achieve and refer to this subtle attachment to the view as the Brahma ensnaring well, Brahma jala, an entanglement for virtuous and the wise. As mentioned in the chapter on the three characteristics of the Titlakkhana, anattata, dukkhattata, and aniccatta, the three characteristics, an Arahant may be referred to as one who has abandoned the self, atta jaha. This expression is used for the sake of convenience. Say in a poetic verse, yet it would have been expected that the listener understood this in the sense of abandoning an attachment to the concept of self. This is also the case with such expressions as boost the ego, self-preservation, or a similar reference to self, which are used for the sake of simplicity. The term self here should be understood as self-image or an attachment to the concept of self. Nibbida and the practice for nibbida have nothing to do with this destroying the self because there is no self to destroy. Westerners have an inadequate study on the subject of nibbida tend to conclude that nibbida is self-extinction, which is an nihilistic perspective. It is the attachment to concept of self that must be destroyed. One must remove the attachment to self-assertions, self-views, and self-perceptions. Nibbida is the end of these misunderstandings and the end of the suffering caused by attachment. When the yearning for self ceases, all theories of the me, the I, the mind, the classification of self automatically lose their significance. When the attachment to the classification to self is uprooted, things will be seen as they truly are. There is no need for further speculation about self. The identification with the I, the me, the mind. When the craving and the grasping, in Pali, when tanha and upatana, which give rise to self, atta, ceases, the matter of atta vanishes on its own accord. Nibbida is nirota, so it's the cessation of dukkha, cessation of suffering, not the cessation of atta. So, since there is no self that ceases, reflect on Gautama Buddha's words. I teach only dukkha and the end of dukkha. In order to shift the emphasis from the preoccupation with nibbida and philosophical debate, Gautama Buddha usually referred to nibbida in the context of practical application or to the related beliefs or related benefits for everyday life, as demonstrated in the passages of the Dipitaka. Rather than give lengthy explanation on the subjects of what happens to arahants after they die, some teachings of Gautama Buddha are included below for considerations. This teaching offers a basic understanding on the subject of self, presenting the two extreme views of eternalism and extinction. It also illumines the meanings of bhava, or illustrates, elucidates bhava tanha and vibhava tanha. Bhikkhus, both devatas and humans are subject to the hold of two views. Some are bogged down, some overreach, while those with vision see. And how, monks, are some bogged down? Devatas and humans delight in becoming. Bhava, tanha. Rejoice in becoming, taking pleasure in becoming. When the Dhamma is being taught for the cessation of becoming, bhava nirota, the hearts of these devatas and humans do not leap forward, do not gain confidence, do not become settled, do not yield. Thus are some bogged down. And how, monks, do some overreach? Some devatas and humans are afflicted, depressed, and disgusted by becoming. They delight in non-becoming, vibhava tanha, extinction, saying, my good sir, when the breaking up of the body at death, the self is annihilated, destroyed, and no longer exists. This state is supreme, excellent, and true. Thus do some overreach. And how, monks, do those with vision see? In this case, a monk sees becoming as becoming. When he sees becoming as becoming, he practices for disenchantment, nibbida, dispassion, viraga, and cessation, nirota, in regard to bhava, tanha, becoming. Thus do those with vision see. Whoever sees becoming as becoming and sees the state beyond becoming, surrenders to the true satcha through the exhaustion of lust for existence. With full understanding of becoming, one is free from tanha, from craving, for both existence and extinction. Apawa, tanha. With the end of what has come to be, a monk comes not to further birth. Gautama Buddha's repudiation of the view that consciously leaves the body and takes a new birth is a particular interest in the study of samsara vata, rebirth, or in Lao or Thai, vinvai thai good. So there's the study of it. Although the subject of samsara vata, rebirth, is not directly linked to nibbita, examining the teachings on rebirth may add to the understanding of nibbita. On that occasion, a wrong view had arisen in a bhikkhu named Sati, son of a fisherman. Thus, he says, as I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is this same consciousness that runs and wanders through and round of rebirths, not another. The bhikkhus were unable to detach him from the pernicious views, so they went to Gautama Buddha and told him all that had been occurred. Gautama Buddha then called the bhikkhu Sati and said to him, Sati, is it true that the following pernicious view has arisen in you? As I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is this same consciousness that wanders through the rounds of rebirths, not another. Exactly so, Venerable Sir. What is that consciousness, Sati? Venerable Sir, it is that which speaks and feels and experiences here and there of the results of good and bad actions. Misguided man, to whom have you ever known me to teach the Dhamma in that way? In many discourses have I not stated consciousness to be dependently arisen, since without a condition there is no origination of consciousness? But you, misguided man, have misrepresented us by the wrong grasp and injured yourself and stored up much demerit. For this will lead to your harm and suffering for a long time. Then the Blessed One, Gautama Buddha, addressed the bhikkhus thus. Bhikkhus, vijnana, consciousness, is reckoned by the particular condition dependent upon which it arises. When vijnan, consciousness, arises dependent on nama rupa, I and forms, it is reckoned as I consciousness. When consciousness arises on the ear and sounds, it is reckoned as ear consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the nose and odors, it is reckoned as nose consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the tongue and flavors, it is reckoned on as tongues and flavors. When the consciousness arises dependent on the body and tangibles, it is reckoned as body consciousness. When the consciousness arises dependent on the mind and mind objects, it is reckoned as mind consciousness. Just as a fire is reckoned by the particular condition dependent on which it burns, it reckons as a log fire, a woodchip fire, a grass fire, a cow dung fire, a chaff fire, a rubbish fire. This is from the Mahatanha Sankhya Sutra. This teaching corrects the misguided views that arihats are annihilated after death. On the occasion, the following wrong view has arisen in a bhikkhu named Yamaka. As I understood the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, a bhikkhu whose asavats, or defilements, are destroyed is annihilated and perishes with breaks up of the body and does not exist after death. A number of bhikkhus unsuccessfully tried to rid him of this wrong view. They therefore asked the Venerable Sariputra for assistance. Sariputra approached Yamaka and conducted the following conversation. Is it true, friend Yamaka, that such a view as this arisen in you? As I understood the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, a bhikkhu whose asavas are destroyed is annihilated and perishes with the breakup of the body and does not exist after death. Exactly so, friend. What do you think, friend Yamaka? Is form permanent? So is rupa permanent, anika, or is rupa nika or anika, or impermanent? Impermanent, friend. Is feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, friend. Therefore, any kind of form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness whatsoever, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior, superior, far or near, should be seen as it really is with correct wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This is I am not. This is not myself. Seeing thus, one mind is liberated. What do you think, friend Yamaka? Do you regard form as the tahakata? No, friend. Do you regard feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness as the tahakata? No, friend. What do you think, friend Yamaka? Do you regard the tahakata as informed? No, friend. Do you regard the tahakata as part of form? No, friend. Do you regard the tahakata as feeling apart from feeling? As in perception, apart from perception, as in volitional formation, as part of volitional formation, as in consciousness, and apart from consciousness? No, friend. What do you think, friend Yamaka? Do you regard form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, and consciousness taken together as the tahakata? No, friend. What do you think, friend Yamaka? Do you regard the tahakata as one who is without form, without feeling, without perception, without volitional formation, without consciousness? No, friend. But friend, when the one who has gone forth, who is extinguished, the tahakata, is not apprehended by you as real and actually here in this very life, is it fit for you to declare, as I understand the Dhamma taught by Gautama, the Blessed One, a bhikkhu whose asavas are destroyed is annihilated and perishes with the breakup of the body and does not exist after death? Formerly, friend Sariputra, when I was ignorant, I did hold that penarious views. But now that I've heard this Dhamma teaching from the Venerable Sariputra, I have abandoned the penarious views and have made the breakthrough to the Dhamma. If, friend Yamaka, people were to ask you, friend Yamaka, when a bhikkhu is an Arahant, one whose asavas are destroyed, what happens to him with the breakup of the body after death? Being answered thus, what would you answer? If they were to ask me, friend, I would answer thus. Friends, form is impermanent. What is impermanent is dukkha. What is dukkha has ceased and passed away. Feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness is impermanent. What is impermanence is dukkha. What is dukkha has ceased and passed away. Being asked thus, friend, I would answer in such a way. In this teaching, the Gautama Buddha, while conversing with a wanderer, Vachagotra, compares the death of an Arahant with the extinguishing of a fire. When a bhikkhu's mind is liberated thus, Master Gautama, where does he reappear after death? The term reappear does not apply, Vacha. Then he does not reappear, Master Gautama. The term does not reappear does not apply, Vacha. Then he both reappears and does not reappear, Master Gautama. The term both reappears and does not reappear does not apply, Vacha. Then he both reappears and does not reappear, Master Gosama. The term both reappears and does not reappear does not apply, Vacha. Then he neither reappears nor does he not reappear, Gotama. The term neither reappears nor does not reappear does not apply, Vacha. Here I have fallen into a bewilderment, Master Gotama. Here I have fallen into confusion. And the measure of confidence I have gained through previous conversations with Master Gotama has now disappeared. Is it enough to cause you bewilderment, Vacha? Enough to cause you confusion? For this Dhamma, Vacha, is profound, hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle to be experienced by the wise. It is hard for you to understand it when you hold another view, accept another teaching, approve another teaching, pursue a different training, and follow a different teacher. So I shall question you about this return, Vacha. Answer as you choose. What do you think, Vacha? Suppose a fire were burning before you. Would you know? This fire is burning before me. I would, Master Gotama. If someone were to ask you, Vacha, what does this fire burning before you burn in dependence on? Being asked thus, what would you answer? Being asked thus, Master Gotama, I would answer, the fire burning before me burns in dependence on grass and sticks. If that fire before you were to be extinguished, would you know? This fire before me has been extinguished? I would, Master Gotama. If someone were to ask you, Vacha, when that fire before you has extinguished, to which direction did it go? To the east, to the west, to the north, or to the south? Being asked thus, what would you answer? It does not apply, Master Gotama. The fire burned depended on its fuel of grass and sticks, and that is used up. If it does not get any more fuel, being without fuel, it is reckoned as extinguished. So too, Vacha, the Tahagata, the one that has gone forth to extinguishment, has abandoned that material form of feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness, which one describing the Tahagata must describe him. He has cut off its roots, made it a palm stump, done away with it so that it's no longer subject to future arising. The Tahagata is liberated from reckoning in terms of material form, feelings, perception, volitional formation, consciousness. Vacha, he is profound, immeasurable, unfathomable, like the ocean. The term reappears does not apply. The term does not reappear does not apply. The term both reappears and does not reappear does not apply. The term neither reappears nor does not reappear does not apply. Following this conversation, faith arose in the wanderer, Vacha, and he declared himself a lay follower. This is from the Agni Vacha Kotra Sutra. Now from the Ratana Sutra describes an Arahant as follows. With previous birth exhausted and no new birth arising, the mind disengaged from future birth, the seeds of existence destroyed. With no impulse to grow again, those wise ones are extinguished, even as this lamp. At the final passing away of parinibbana, of venerable Dipa Malaputa, Gautama Buddha uttered this verse: broken is the body. All perception has ceased. Feeling are stilled. Volitional formations calm. And consciousness has reached its end. The Gautama Buddha recounted the events of this passing away to the monks and uttered this verse: just as the destination of a blazing spark of fire, struck from an anvil, gradually fading, cannot be known, so in the case of those who have rightly won release and crossed the flood of binding lust and reached unshakable bliss, their destinations cannot be defined.